Welcome to the program. Today, we are turning our focus to South Asia, specifically to a nation of 170 million people that has recently found itself at the center of a global democratic debate. Bangladesh's recent elections weren't just a local event. They represent a significant litmus test for the state of global democracy in 2024. As the world watches, the internal mechanics of this rising economic power are being scrutinized like never before. With the ruling party securing another term amidst a major opposition boycott, the questions being asked aren't just about who won, but how they won and what it means for the future of democratic institutions worldwide. We are diving deep into the complexities of the 2024 general election and why the international community is so deeply divided on the outcome. To understand the present, we have to look at the decades-long rivalry that has defined Bangladeshi politics. On one side, we have the Awami League, led by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the world's longest-serving female head of government. On the other, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, led by Khaleda Zia. This is more than just a policy disagreement. It is a deep-seated, often personal rivalry between two political dynasties. For the 2024 election, the BNP demanded a neutral caretaker government to oversee the polls, a demand the Awami League rejected, leading to a massive opposition boycott. This left the field largely open for the ruling party, but it also raised immediate questions about the legitimacy of a contest where the main challenger refused to participate.
The lead-up to the election was marked by significant unrest. Human rights organizations and international observers raised alarms over what they described as a systematic crackdown on dissent. Reports indicated that approximately 20,000 opposition members and activists were arrested in the months preceding the vote. The government maintained these were necessary measures to prevent violence and ensure public order, but the opposition characterized them as a blatant attempt to stifle any meaningful competition. This environment of fear and legal pressure created a lopsided playing field. When the polls finally opened, the atmosphere was tense, and the international community was already split on whether the results could truly reflect the will of the 170 million citizens.
Why does this matter so much to the rest of the world? Beyond the politics, Bangladesh is an economic powerhouse in the making. It is the world's second largest garment exporter, supplying the clothes on our backs to brands across the globe. However, this economic miracle is facing headwinds. Inflation has surged to nearly 10%, and the country has had to seek a $4.7 billion bailout from the IMF. Political instability is the last thing an economy of this scale needs. Strikes, blockades, and international sanctions could jeopardize the livelihoods of millions. The global market is watching closely, because if the world on the brink narrative holds true, the economic ripples will be felt far beyond the borders of Dhaka. Bangladesh has become a strategic chessboard for global superpowers. India, a key neighbor, has largely supported the current administration, prioritizing regional stability and security over democratic idealism. China, too, has invested heavily in infrastructure projects. Conversely, the United States and the European Union have taken a harder line, imposing visa restrictions on those seen as undermining the democratic process and calling for free and fair elections. This creates a fascinating geopolitical divide, the West pushing for democratic standards, while regional powers emphasize stability and economic continuity. Bangladesh's election outcome is effectively a win for some global players and a diplomatic challenge for others, further complicating the 2024 global political map. On election day, the results were as many predicted. The Awami League secured a landslide victory, granting Sheikh Hasina a fourth consecutive term. However, the victory was dampened by a reported 40% voter turnout, a sharp decline from previous contested elections. While the government celebrated the win as a mandate for continued development, critics pointed to the empty polling stations as proof of public disillusionment. Without a credible opposition, the parliament now faces a crisis of diversity. The question now isn't just about leadership, but about the long-term viability of a one-party dominant state in a country that has historically fought so hard for its democratic identity and independence. The situation in Bangladesh is not an isolated incident. It is part of what political scientists call democratic backsliding, a trend seen in many parts of the world where democratic institutions are hollowed out from within. When elections are held without opposition, or when the media is restricted, the shell of democracy remains, but the substance vanishes. This matters because it sets a precedent for other nations in the global south. If a major player like Bangladesh can successfully navigate an election with limited competition and maintain international economic ties, it may embolden other leaders to follow suit. The World on the Brink isn't just a catchy title. It's a warning about the fragility of the democratic consensus in the 21st century. So, where does Bangladesh go from here? The government faces the monumental task of stabilizing the economy and healing a fractured society. Meanwhile, the international community must decide how to engage with a government whose electoral mandate is disputed by many. For the students and citizens listening, the lesson is clear. Democracy is not a destination, but a constant process that requires vigilance. As the 170 million people of Bangladesh navigate this new chapter, their journey will provide crucial lessons for all of us about the balance between stability, development, and the fundamental right to choose one's leaders. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a world at the brink. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.